How's it going, everybody? It's Ben from the Ben and Bev channel. Today we're bringing you a review for the 6th and final episode of the Hawkeye series. So this is Christmas.
Gonna go ahead and start off with a quick spoiler warning. If you are not up to date with the series until this point, I would definitely at least get through last week's episode, as there's some pretty big reveals so far.
At the very end of last week's episode, we had that big reveal that Vincent D'Onofrio is once again returning as Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin. Though it isn't that big of a surprise, it was predicted pretty early on, and D'Onofrio himself kind of teased it on Twitter. The trailer for the show arrived. It's really nice to see him on screen. He brings a huge immensity and presence to that character, and it's just great to see him in this universe, and I was extremely excited to see how he was going to fit into the story and exactly how much of him we were going to be getting in this week's episode, as we haven't seen anything but a picture of him in 5 episodes. Somehow we have to wrap up this conflict, as well as our conflict with Maya, our conflict with Yelena, as well as the conflict with Eleanor. There's a lot of stuff to get wrapped up in this episode. Thankfully, this week's episode is an hour and 1 minute long. They're able to juggle all these plot lines very efficiently in that same plaza, even basically all within one big action sequence centered around Bishop Christmas party that gets thrown every year. It's this huge event in the part of New York that has the giant Christmas trees.
Big fight scene that we saw in the teaser trailer.
All the tracksuits are joining up. We got Kate and Hawkeye and all their trick arrows. Yelena pops up. Maya pops up. We have
a whole bunch of conflict within Maya and Kazi and Fisk.
So many different conflicts that they had to resolve in this episode. I was really shocked with how well they were able to pull that off. Both keep it extremely entertaining with what I also think has been some of the best fight choreography we've seen so far. Seeing two Hawkeyes battling on screen together with their bow and arrows, or when they're both fighting their separate battles, whether that's with Yelena or with Fisk. Combat in this episode just had so much more weight to it than any of the previous. Stakes were at an all-time high. There's a real sense of urgency to everything going on, which I think that's been a big issue with this series so far, is there wasn't a huge sense of urgency. Also did a really good job of having that emotional arc with Kate Bishop, her learning if she really has what it takes to be a hero and if she's willing to sacrifice what she has to do it. This finale does a phenomenal job wrapping up that emotional arc, and all the different conflicts have emotional depth, and each one gets their moment to get resolved, or at least dealt with to some extent. There are a few loose ends at the end of the season. It's actually a lot cleaner of an ending than I was expecting from this series.
There wasn't even a tease for a second season.
Also some interesting creative choices they made near the last part of the episode that they did with Fisk. I'm not trying to give away too much, as there is an intriguing twist that I wasn't really expecting, and I think a couple of them, though they were effective and emotionally they did a great job completing the arc and making this whole episode feel like a really complete experience within the season.
They really wasted Kingpin's potential a little bit.
You'll understand exactly what I'm saying when you watch the episode. What they did with Kingpin was really cool. It was great to see Vincent D'Onofrio return to the role. The few fight scenes he had were outstanding. The dialogue scenes were great. There were some interesting goofy outfits that were comic accurate that they had him in that were also pretty funny, but just not enough of him. I also love the inclusion of the LARPers in this week's episode. They're all acting as butlers at the party. Everything starts going down. They actually get to assist in the mission with both of our Hawkeyes. This week's episode was definitely the strongest by far. It has the best action, the best dialogue, the best conflicts, the best emotion. And though we did need 5 episodes of setup to basically get there, I think it was all worth it in the long run. Though the show has some interesting plotting issues and some of the acting was a little wooden in the first couple episodes, I think the overall fun action movie vibe of the show, mixed with the serious emotions, solid one-liners, outstanding cast of characters.
I mean, you got Vincent D'Onofrio and Vera Farmiga as supporting actors in your cast.
You can see Florence Pugh return as Yelena Belova and resolve that conflict with Hawkeye that we saw brought up at the end of the Black Widow teaser is also really satisfying, and unexpectedly her chemistry with Hailee Steinfield's Kate Bishop is phenomenal. Those two are actually really great together. Super enjoyed the fight scene as they're blowing through walls in that office building this week. My rating for Hawkeye Season 1 is an 8.4 out of 10. What did you guys think about Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye Christmas special? Let us know in the comments below. We'll see you guys next time. Ben and Bev, out.